Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure review. Today will be a special video as we showcase 4 different action figures from Hasbro's Titan Hero series. Alright, so I had all these figures just laying around and I thought, let's do a review on all these Venom related action figures. Alright, first up, let's start with this guy right here. This is a very basic Venom figure. And let's take this out. It's a 12-inch figure. I think he stands in at about maybe 11.5 inches. It's very basic in its design. The one thing you'll notice is that the Venom or the symbiote symbol on his chest is very different than the Spider-Man symbol we're used to. You know, this is essentially Peter Parker in the black symbiote outfit, but a much more modern take. The head is very plain. The lenses are just painted on. They're not sculpted. As is the chest emblem. You know, it's not a relief detail. You don't really feel it. The figure still retains the FX port on the back, so if you happen to have that older accessory from figures some years ago, it's compatible. And it's a nice figure. You know, it's very plain and vanilla in terms of Venom figures go. You know, it's not the flashiest of symbiotes, but it's a cool interpretation of Peter as in his modern symbiote costume. Up next we have Agent Venom, aka Flash Thompson. This is when Flash takes possession of the Venom symbiote. You know, he's done some time with the Avengers, the Thunderbolts, and even the Guardians of the Galaxy in this costume. Great figure. I like this figure a lot. The only thing it's missing is some of the modern articulation, but the detailing is really well done. One thing that surprised me with this figure is that the Venom symbol is painted on the front and on the back. Most of the time with these cheaper Hasbro 12-inch figures, they kind of omit the paint details on the back of the figure. But in this case, you know, they found it necessary, and I'm glad they did. It really ties the costume together, especially with the symbol joining from the front onto the sides, then onto the back and shoulders. Beautifully sculpted figure as well. The nice thing with this one is that his lenses are actually sculpted on, so it's a relief that you could feel. As is the spider symbol. You know, it's actually scribed into the armor. You know, this is one of my favorite Venom characters in general. You know, Flash Thompson as Venom, I felt was just perfect. You know, he embodied many of the qualities of a good soldier, and he seemed perfect when he took on the Venom role. You know, it was very different than Eddie Brock's Venom. You know, Flash has his own sense of honor and duty, and it was just kind of cool seeing him, you know, as a superhero. Awesome figure. I like this guy a lot. After that, we have this, a very skinny version of Venom. It's a much lankier action figure. This one's cool because the Venom symbol is actually sculpted onto the body. And it's even sculpted on the back, but unfortunately it is not painted in. I do like the hands. You know, his fingers are kind of knurled. You know, they look pretty wicked. The head isn't the greatest. You know, the painting on the face, especially near the teeth and the tongue, could have been done a little bit cleaner. But I do appreciate the sculpt. The tongue looks really awesome, and the teeth look sharp as ever. The proportions, though, are very odd. You know, Venom's a much tankier, bulkier character. And this is just very skinny. You know, it's kind of on par with the Peter Parker Venom over here. Or Peter Parker symbiote. But he does have Eddie Brock's giant trap muscles right there. Huge traps on this guy. And then speaking of Eddie Brock, we have one of my favorite Venom figures ever. This giant 12-inch scale Venom. You know, even though this is a budget figure, it's huge, it's a beast, and you really feel like you get your money's worth out of this guy. His tongue is articulated. It can go left and right. Beautiful head sculpt. Very impressive. A lot of weight to this guy also. Giant hands with articulated wrists. And he just towers over all these other figures. It's a beast. It's almost like the Hulk of Venom figures. So yeah, if you're into Venom or the symbiote, you have lots and lots of 12-inch Spider-Man options out there. Today is March 3rd or March 4th, 2025. This figure you can still find on shelves at your local Walmarts and Targets here in the United States. You still might be able to find this one also, possibly. It's kind of a carryover from the Spider-Verse line. This one has been out of print for a long time, and then this one also I think was from some years back. But if you're on the hunt for this guy here, you might be able to find them on the shelves, and believe me, it's worth the purchase. Even if you're not into the 12-inch Titan Hero series, this figure will wow you. It's so awesome. Alright, so with that being said, let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.